Well, hello and a very warm welcome to Business Today TV. I am Chetan Bhutani. Maruti has reported its set of numbers for the month of June, and I'm joined by Executive Director, Mr. Shashank Srivastava from Maruti Suzuki. Thank you so much, Shashank, for joining us. Tell us about the numbers. Witnessing a growth of 5%. Exports also going good. Give us a highlight of the numbers.
Yeah, so actually the number are relatively flat when you compare with the May month, and also when you compare it with last year. However, last year we had a full month of production, and this year it's slightly different because we had a maintenance shutdown. Our factory was closed for a week, so there is some effect of non-availability as far as production is concerned. We have a good number of pending bookings, as you know, almost 300,000. So going forward, we hope that we'll increase our production and try to increase the numbers from here. Also, for the industry, this was a good quarter because this quarter, the sale was almost 909,000. This is followed by a Q4 of last year, financial year, which was 922,000. So there are two consecutive quarters of 900,000 plus. And I think that's the first time ever in Indian auto industry. So there is some issues relating to semiconductor supplies, but still I think the demand parameter seems to be holding good at the moment.
Shashank, exports are going good at 34%. In fact, last month I think you saw exports at record highs. What are you attributing this reason to for continuous good growth in exports?
Yes, so last year, as you know, was the highest ever exports for our company. We became the number one exporter of cars from our country. We have always been number one in domestic market, but in exports also we became number one. And the same trend continues. Good traction we are seeing in Latin America as also in Africa. So those markets still continue to do very well for us. And hopefully this will continue. It has done very well in quarter one. So hopefully this will continue in the balance quarters as well.
You mentioned about a considerable waiting time for vehicles and with the launch of the new Brezza. How are you anticipating the wait time? Are you planning to work on reducing wait time? If yes, then what are the measures that you've undertaken and what is the highest waiting period for which vehicles?
Yeah, so our as I mentioned just a little while back, we have about 300,000 pending bookings, out of which about 125,000 is CNG vehicles. The waiting periods vary across models, and certainly for CNG models, the waiting is a little higher. So our objective going forward is to try to increase our production level, both for CNG vehicles as well as overall numbers. And we see good traction there because we have seen the semiconductor supply getting better and better over the last few months. We are now operating at almost 95% of our plan. So definitely in the next few months, we hope to come back to normal. However, we don't have a visibility of the semiconductor supply going forward, and therefore the exact time frame cannot really be established. And regarding the new launches, they have given us good confidence, and we will try to, even for Brezza, for example, which we launched on Thursday last, we have 50,000 plus bookings. And that means that there is straight away a waiting period of about 5 months, which we will try to reduce by increasing production. At the moment, the maximum waiting period is for Ertiga and of course for CNG, across all models.
Right. Since Brezza has been launched and you began your SUV journey with Brezza, again the question rises: when is the Jimny coming to India?
When is the Jimny? Yeah. So but it's a very valid question.
Shashank, I'm asking this question because with Maruti expanding its portfolio from Brezza, there has been a lot of hue and cry, especially over social media, that when is the Jimny coming? There's been all raised up excitement about that. So that's why I'm seeking an answer, because every time I ask you this question,
so I'll answer it. Definitely, I'll answer this question. First of all, we have said this before that we will be focusing on SUV segment in a big way. And the reason also is, we have mentioned before, is that while in the non-SUV space, our market share is 65% plus, which is a very healthy market share, and it's also the highest we have had for the last 20 years. But when you combine it with SUV market share, our overall market share falls below 50%, which is the objective which we always have, 50% of the market. So one of the key reasons for that is our it's not a great market share that we have in the SUV segment. Of course, we are still number one player in the B segment for the last 5 years, including the last year. However, our market share is around 20%. So while we are market leaders with 20%, when you compare it with 65% of non-SUV market share, it is obviously pulling down the overall market share. And therefore, we had launched the Brezza, which is the market leader in the entry SUV segment. So that is a very large part of the SUV segment. The next largest part is the mid SUV segment, which is 18% of the overall market. And that segment is basically for a larger SUV, maybe a 4.3 meter type of SUV. And that is what we are going to launch very shortly. We will be unveiling the same in July, on July 20th, actually. We will be unveiling that. And it has two powertrains, the strong hybrid and the mild hybrid powertrain. The full production of that model, however, will start in August. But on 20th July, we will unveil it. And that is another foray into a segment where we have almost no presence. And therefore, that is an important part of our SUV journey. The next few ones, including the Jimny, which you are referring to, we had showcased the Jimny in the 2020 Auto Expo. We collected some extremely good feedback, and right now we are finalizing our marketing plans for that, including the date of launch, etc., etc.
So July 20th, we are not expecting the Jimny to be coming up, or it will be an entire new vehicle from Maruti?
No, it will be an entire new vehicle from Maruti Suzuki, which will come up on 20th July. That is I told you it is in the mid SUV space, which is a 4.3 meter type of SUV. Whereas the Jimny, as you know, the length is much lesser, it's less than 4 meters. So I'm not talking of that at the moment. Of course, Jimny, we have, as I said, got some good feedback, and we are currently finalizing our plans, and we shall shortly let you know also about the plans for the Jimny.
Shashank sir, last question to you. Commodity prices have started to ease down. Steel prices are also cooling. But is the pressure on profitability still there? And are there any further plans to hike prices?
So absolutely, the pressure on profitability is still there for two reasons. While there has been some softening in the commodity prices in recent times, you mentioned steel. Steel had gone as hot as 84 rupees kg, came down and has cooled down a little bit to about 66, 68 range per kg. However, when you compare it with what it was 2 years back, the steel prices are 38 rupees a kg. So when you compare it with the 2 years back prices, then it doesn't seem to be really that low. So while there is some softening in terms of, and that same story goes for copper, aluminium, plastics, and so on and so forth. So while we can say that there is some cooling, the pressure on profitability continues, because when you compare with last 2 years prices of commodities, still the commodity prices are very high. And when we increased the prices, we didn't pass on completely this increased cost to the consumer, because we did not want to compromise demand. Last 2 years have been a little disturbed because of the COVID situation, and we had thought as a market leaders, it's our duty to protect the overall volumes in the industry, and even if it is at the cost of profitability. And that is what has made us not increase the prices in proportion to the commodity price impact. Therefore, the pressure continues. However, going forward, price increase, we have to carefully monitor and take measured steps, because we don't want to compromise the demand even today. We have to look at both the top line and the bottom line, and looking only at one of them may not be the right thing to do.
So right now, no as such pressure of increasing prices.
So the profitability pressure continues, and we are monitoring the situation. There are some positives like the yen depreciation has held our overall profitability. There's no doubt. However, the pressure on profitability continues, and we are carefully monitoring the situation.
Right. Shashank, so all eyes clearly on July 20th then. Thank you so much for joining us on Business Today TV. Well, that was Mr. Shashank Srivastava talking about all new SUV being launched on July 20th. And of course, the commodity prices and prices will be increased or not will be a thing to talk about in the future. Thank you so much for watching.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.